Well, hello, my friends, and welcome to this episode of Today's Top Leaders. Today, I want to talk about the intersection of peace and compassion. And the reason I want to talk about this is, of course, there's a lot of really tough stuff that's going on in the world. In many places, there are hard, really difficult things that are very, very challenging. And I was thinking about how recently here in Kansas City, we had a group of monks that came from India. And I need to read the name of the monks here because it's a little bit challenging, the Tibetan name. And so it's the Drepung Gomang Monks. And so they were on a tour and they have not left their monastery in many years, largely because of COVID and just travel restrictions and stuff around the world. So they've been hunkered down and they've been meditating and praying and doing all the beautiful things that Tibetan monks do. So they're finally like, okay, let's go. Let's do this thing and bring unity to the world. So us here in Kansas City, we got to be the benefactors of them coming here. This is their very first stop, and they hadn't left their monastery to come here. This was their first spot, so it was really kind of cool. So they spent a week building out a sand mandala. So if you've ever seen these before, you know how beautiful and intricate, and they use this amazing sand in all different colors, and they make these big, huge, round, it's flat on a surface, and they start in the middle and they work their way out. And so each layer has different meanings. And so in this particular mandala that they were making, they had the different symbols for different religions represented on it. They had visuals for representing like the different elements in the world, the different Buddhists' beliefs and whatnot. And so it was really, really beautiful to see it totally completed. And it was quite large. Across the middle, it was probably, I'm going to say, about 6 feet in diameter. And so, and they had several monks, about 10 monks who were working on this. And so, and there they were. I went to the closing ceremony where they were chanting and doing all of this beautiful stuff from the whole idea is coming into this place of unity and connection. And so after they were done with their ceremony, they took these little hand brooms and they swept it all together. So they mixed all of this together and they scooped some of it up. And then they marched, they left the Buddhist center. And again, this is downtown Kansas City. It's the Unity Center. And they left that area and they walked down to the creek, Bush Creek, and they held up this big urn that had, kind of think of like a metal pitcher. And they poured it into the water with the idea of releasing unity into the world. And so, it was really beautiful. It was amazing to watch. It was great. I was there with a friend from church who invited me to go. And then also I brought my 8-year-old daughter because I'm like, hey, let's go learn about stuff. It's not every day we're going to have Tibetan monks right here in our backyard. So it was really, really interesting experience. And while there, they had some little things that you can pick up to purchase, and the money goes to help out at the monastery. And so I picked up this little thing here about peace, and I want to read this to you because peace is one of the major tenets of Buddhism. And I think it's really interesting when reading this over, because when I got this a little while ago, when the monks were here, I was like, oh, this is really, really lovely. I actually picked this up for my daughter so she could hang it up in her room. But I also, just in reflecting about all of the tough things that's going on around the world in all the different places, right? And so there are challenging, hard things that are going on out there. And I think there's some really beautiful things in this little quote here about peace that can maybe bring you some peace today. So that's why I wanted to share this today on the show. So this is what they have to say about peace. So just take a deep breath, listen to what this is, and see what piece of this might resonate with your heart today. Okay, peace. We cannot achieve world peace without first achieving peace within ourselves. Inner peace in an atmosphere of hatred, anger, competition and violence, no lasting peace can be achieved. These negative and destructive forces must be overcome by compassion, love, and altruism, which are the essential teaching of the Buddha. So think about that. It's really hard to overcome negative and destructive things if we don't first have compassion, love, and altruism. And it starts within ourselves first. You guys, I know that things are hard out there. I know we're all experiencing it, and it's difficult, right? There's so much to be said about what is happening, and what has been happening for a long time. And so I invite you today to stop and recognize, and maybe take a little bit of this little piece here, that we cannot achieve world peace without first achieving peace within ourselves, that inner peace. So what can you do for yourself, right? How can you make choices in your life so that you might have inner peace? Okay, despite all of the crazy that's going on around, what can you do for yourself? And I know for me, I wanted to hold this up. Look at, this is the sand. I don't know how well you can see it. Maybe this side's a little bit more colorful. But I got a little sampling of this sand, and my daughter got a little sampling too, and so I know she sprinkled it, but I've been holding on to this for a special time, and I think I know now when that special time is, to put a little bit of the Monks Unity prayer back into the world. And I'll be finding a beautiful sacred spot to sprinkle this and to put that goodness into the world. And I invite you to look for those things that you can do to add some goodness and add your light to the world. Thank you so much for joining me today for this special little episode here of today's Top Leaders. Thanks, my friends, and keep going.